He did this new stand-up special called Soup to Nuts, and pretty much what I gathered from it was like he jokes about pretty much everything, but there is two jokes that I do want to show you, and I won't get copyrighted for it because this is footage that was released by him, and the whole full special is out on Netflix, so I won't get copyrighted, I don't think. So the first joke actually kind of ties back to Barbie a little bit, so I'll just play up, put the volume up. Let's hope there's no ads like the last time we do this, right?
Held down by your looks for generations, and that sucks. Also understand, ladies, you've been held down by your looks for generations, and that sucks. Like my brother's got a little daughter, cute little daughter. My mom got her a Barbie, and the wife was like, hey, no daughter of mine's playing with a Barbie. I was like, why not? Well, Barbie, it sets unrealistic body standards for girls. I mean, of course Barbie's unrealistic. That's why kids like her. Nobody wants a realistic toy. Look at every man toy. 12-pack, huge arms, giant legs. They're toys. But she's gonna think
Let's
she
put it
has to look
closer,
like
right?
her. No, she's not. I've never heard of a girl with a Barbie like, damn, I guess I gotta cut off my nipples. Girls aren't stupid. But I get it, it's a new day, gotta be inclusive now. You gotta have plus-size Barbie, Chinese Barbie, blind Barbie. You know who's never changed? Ken. Huh. Ken's a tall, good-looking guy, full head of hair. There's no bald Ken, drunk Ken, abusive Ken. Nobody wants a realistic Ken. He pulls up.
So pretty much that whole joke is like this kind of like offensive joke about Barbies, like inclusive Barbie, blind Barbie, Asian Barbie. Kind of does the same thing with Ken.
You are about to experience the James Rambling Show, hosted by James Batty.
Hello, welcome back to the James Ramblin' Show for yet another episode. And in today's episode, right, before we dive into all the topics, the mic and all the camera stuff, it's kind of on a different angle because my dad got like this different clamp because the last time the clamp was on a different angle and all that stuff. So if you're wondering why that is in the mic, all the stuff isn't it, you can't see the entire mic like all the way on the video like how you used to see it in other previous episodes. So you get all of that, right? Also, I've got my Barbie review. You should check out my new Barbie review that I put out, I want to say, a couple of days ago as this is coming out. And this episode is quite delayed. I know it's delayed as last week. We put it out on Monday. But the time difference is going to be different anyway. It's still going to come out in a really scuffed time difference. So today's episode, right, what do we have to talk about today? Well, I've actually seen the new Mark Norman Soup to Nuts stand-up special, and I have talked about stand-up quite a few times on this podcast. Like, let's just think back again. So, talked about how, I went to see Louis C.K., and then I watched it at home. It wasn't the same. Then I talked about the Chris Rock stand-up special that came to Netflix, and then I talked about John Mulaney's special like 2 or 3 months ago. So to say the least, the James Ramlin Show, we've been talking a lot about stand up this year, but it's not been the only topic we've talked about this year. So pretty much right, like Mark Normand, for those who don't know, he's like this famous stand up comedian, and he did this new stand up special called Soup to Nuts. And pretty much what I gathered from it was like he jokes about pretty much everything, but there is two jokes that I do want to show you, and I won't get copyrighted for it because this is footage that was released by him, and the whole full special is out on Netflix, so I won't get copyrighted, I don't think. So the first joke actually kind of ties back to Barbie a little bit, so I'll just play up, put the volume up. Let's hope there's no ads like the last time we do this, right?
Held down by your looks for generations, and that sucks. Also understand, ladies, you've been held down by your looks for generations, and that sucks. Like my brother's got a little daughter, cute little daughter. My mom got her a Barbie, and the wife was like, hey, no daughter of mine's playing with a Barbie. I was like, why not? Well, Barbie, it sets unrealistic body standards for girls. I mean, of course Barbie's unrealistic. That's why kids like her. Nobody wants a realistic toy. Look at every man toy. 12-pack, huge arms, giant legs. They're toys. But she's gonna think
Let's
she
put it
has to look
closer,
like
right?
her. No, she's not. I've never heard of a girl with a Barbie like, damn, I guess I gotta cut off my nipples. Girls aren't stupid. But I get it, it's a new day, gotta be inclusive now. You gotta have plus-size Barbie, Chinese Barbie, blind Barbie. You know who's never changed? Ken. Huh. Ken's a tall, good-looking guy, full head of hair. There's no bald Ken, drunk Ken, abusive Ken. Nobody Somebody wants a realistic can. He pulls up.
So pretty much that whole joke is like this kind of like offensive joke about Barbie, like inclusive Barbie, blind Barbie, Asian Barbie. Kind of does the same thing with Ken, and I feel like he knew that Barbie was coming out, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna make a joke about this. But one thing to add about Mark Norman's special is that he's got kind of like a different style compared to the other comedians we've talked about on this podcast, because he has these times where he does these awkward pauses and lets the crowd laugh. So I'm gonna go back to that other joke I was talking about. It's like this other joke he did during his special. So this is the other one, right?
We're just so obsessed with race now. It's like always on my mind. I was on the phone with my insurance agent last week. He's like, what color's your car? I was like, geez, I thought you were progressive.
I'm gonna put it closer again.
And look, I'm a pretty progressive guy, but I notice sometimes we get so progressive these days we actually end up kind of racist again. Like I used to have my friend. Now I'm very aware he's my black friend. Don't say anything stupid. Don't piss him off. Don't offend him. That's not progress. I'm obsessed with his skin color now. I never thought about it before. Everything I say, I'm second guessing. I'm like, hey, buddy, I never see you anymore. You're always banging your girlfriend. You're like a sex slave. Ah, shit. No, I'm just saying, you're whipped. Damn. No, I mean, I just want to hang. He's like, screw this, I'm out of here. I'm like, all right, I'll see you later. Jesus Christ. Holy hell. That's not healthy.
So that was his joke, was about like race and like black people's like, I just want to hang. Oh, I just seen you whipped, right? So he's joking about race, joking about inclusivity. So that was kind of what Chris Rock did as well, I believe. And Mark Normand, he has a bunch of like, I'm pretty sure he does the dick jokes and kind of like that stuff. See if I can find any more clips, but like that's kind of the general gist on it. And I did believe that Mark Norman did this special like back in June of this year that happened in Auckland, but I never went to see it because it was like far away. I think it was on the other side of Auckland, so I never got the chance to go see it with my dad because it was just too far away. So other than that, right, I do think this Mark Norman special was good and you should go check it out. If you do like offensive comedy, if you do like Mark Norman already, you'll definitely like it. I will say that I probably would have preferred to see this live, but it is what it is, man. Anytime we get to talk about stand up on the James Allen Show, definitely go for it. So highly recommend that special if you want to watch it. So you've definitely got that kind of stuff where we're dabbling back into the world of stand up. But I don't think I ever mentioned this, right? I did actually pirate The Flash last night on that very TV back there. Audio listeners just pointing my finger, right? Watch The Flash on that very TV back there. And this one, we're not doing a James rambling reviews of this. I did want to dive deeply into it, and it gives kind of like this contrast of like how we've been doing the relevant subject matters lately. Well, this movie came out in the back half of June or something. Wait a minute, actually, I'm just gonna double check when this movie came out, and then we'll dive into sort of my thoughts on the film and kind of the whole shebang with it, because there was quite a few things to do with this movie outside of the film as well that contributed it, I think. So it came out on June 15th, right? So The Flash, right? Worlds kill. So it says here, right? Actually, no, I don't know if I need to do the plot summary, but like, if just so I remember, right? Worlds collide when the Flash uses his superpowers to travel back in time to change the events of the past. However, when his attempt to save his family inadvertently alters the future, he becomes trapped in a reality which General Zod has returned, threatening annihilation. With no other superheroes to turn to, the Flash looks to coax a very different Batman out of retirement and rescue an imprisoned Kryptonian Abate, not the one he's looking for. So that's what The Flash is about, and it stars Ezra Miller, and there's this like whole controversy about how he did all these horrible things like assault and stuff like that. But I feel like when it comes to this movie, you should just kind of forget about that. Obviously, he did heinous acts, but what you do outside of a film does not contribute to what you do inside a film, if you know what I mean. Also, this movie is 2.5 hours long, which I don't really feel like it's 2.5 hours long. Personally, I kind of actually really enjoyed the Flash movie. You know what? Like, there was all this stuff about how the movie bombed at the box office. It did horribly for Warner Brothers. oh, it's the worst movie ever. And this movie actually took years and years to film because they kept reshooting it and reshooting it, and it went through all these different directors and all of that. But there was all this controversy around it, and I'm just like, no, bro. So what did I think worked about this film? Well, personally, I was not expecting Ezra Miller's performance to kind of be super amazing because I'm somebody that's not always super into DC, so I never saw what he had to offer in the Justice League. Like, I did see the Snyder's Justice League, but I don't remember having a huge role, so getting to see how he acts was good. And there's like two versions of Barry Allen, and what I thought was like, it was interesting to see how there was this one version of Barry Allen, super confident, not as mature, and then one Barry Allen that's just super silly and immature. So getting a bit of a contrast of these two kind of different versions of one person was cool. And I did like that about it. There was also Michael Keaton in this movie. He's like one of the older Batmans. There was quite a lot of cameos in this movie, which were kind of cool, I guess. But the movie doesn't use cameos and like like cameos and Easter eggs as like a launching off point for the plot. Like, there's actually kind of substance. Like, Michael Keaton, sure, there's stuff like he says, let's get nuts and all of that. Like, you want to get nuts and all of that. Right, that's what he said in the original films and stuff like that in his movies. Like, there's a bit of, like, nostalgia. There's also, like, the Lego Batman. Well, I remember, like, the theme song, the Batman theme song. Remind me when I played Lego Batman back in the day. So you got all of that, and Michael Keaton's performance is really good. But I was hearing these things about how Ezra Miller for an hour of this movie is so annoying, but I actually didn't mind it. So you get that, and like it's an hour in, right? You get an hour in, you get about an hour of Ezra Miller, and then you get a bit of the flat, you get a bit of Michael Keaton, and then you also get a bit of Supergirl. Supergirl also kind of surprised me because this was another actress where I was another actor or actress where I was like, yeah, I don't really know too much about the actress or actor myself. Didn't see them in too many roles, so getting to see them in this movie was quite cool, and she kind of had a cool role to play. She had all these powerful pieces of dialogue, and she was just really strong, and also like General Zod was okay, I guess. It wasn't like something I was blown away by. There is a bit of CGI, like the CGI does feel a bit PS2 generated, but it's not like entirely horrible because I was hearing people say, oh, the special effects are so bad, oh, this movie is so bad, and oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, right? And everyone was complaining about The Flash, but personally, this movie, I was certainly surprised by it. Like I was saying, right. I'm not somebody that's super duper into DC, so the fact that this movie surprised the hell out of me is good to say. But I'm not gonna tell you this is like a masterpiece because, like I was mentioning, the CGI isn't perfect. But certainly, the CGI certainly is not perfect. So I would say, like, if you like me don't have anything else to watch, I definitely recommend you go pirate The Flash, right? And this is not, I don't think this is the first time where we've kind of dived deeply into films that came out like a while ago and stuff like that. So I would give The Flash maybe like an 8 out of 10, especially with how like Ezra Miller's acting lifts a lot of emotional scenes and all of that stuff with his mother, and it was just a great film overall, and I'm glad this movie was very enjoyable. I did hear it's doing well on video on demand, which is good. So I think I spent like maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes or whatever on it. I don't know if I can talk about the Flash like tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons, but definitely highly recommend it. And I will say that, right, I'm still going to go on about the Flash a little bit more here. So, remember how I talked about Black Adam and I also did my Shazam 2 review? Well, I do think that The Flash is definitely tons better than those two films combined. And it's one, and there's been a lot of multiverse movies with cameos recently, like Doctor Strange was like a Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness was kind of meh, right? You've had kind of like you kind of had these multiverse movies that are kind of meh and forgettable. Well, this movie I don't know about that. Maybe like down the line I'm gonna start forgetting about the Flash, but in the moment I had so much fun. And the ironic thing about this movie is that there's this one point where the Flash is like, "Come on, Barbie, let's go party," And I do remember there's like this dark version of the Flash, so definitely a lot happened in this film and super entertaining and everything like that. So I think I've been kind of have been raving on and on and on about The Flash, but I thought I would give my appreciation towards it because it was a very, very good movie. So outside of that kind of stuff, I do actually have a couple more things to talk about, especially what happened today, right? So I did actually reunite with one of my friends from primary school, but before I get into that, right, I did go to my Uncle Norrie's house, and I don't think I have talked about Uncle Norrie on the James Allen show before, but he's like one of my uncles, right, and he's been on drugs for years and years and years now, taking all these drugs, and there was this thing, right, there's this story that he said that he was on hallucinogen, he was like hallucinating where he saw these little men like attacking him, and then he just goes outside and he's calling the cops, and it was really weird. And he said that like he cut the cable on this recliner seat that he had, and it was just really weird. Like you buy something, right, you want to take care of it, but then you just cut the cable. And this guy says, "Oh, these people aren't in my house. Oh my god, I don't have all these people up." And then he has all these people up, and it was just he just like contradicts himself, and he's saying like he ran to the pharmacy, but he forgot and all like that. So he's just kind of an interesting little character, kind of like an interesting little character, right? We talked about Declan last week, right? We talked about Declan last week, that weird guy. You know, he's almost 18 years old and he's shouting at 5 in the morning about in an American accent. I did actually hear him today, but like, yeah, man, it's just kind of crazy. And he's like 50 years old, so he's kind of like a little interesting character. I don't know if that's going to be a new segment on the James Allen show where we talk about these little kind of weird people and strange people, but there was that. So let's dive into the whole thing today. So I had a reunion with one of my primary school friends, and I think I did mention in last week's episode that I might be reuniting with Ben and Lee. Well, it wasn't Ben and Lee, so it's kind of unexpected little topic here. So pretty much right. I have this friend called Kyle McCormick. I don't know if I can't remember if I've talked about him or not. We've done so many episodes, right? So he's got like ginger hair, and he's got like glasses. That's what I remember from him. But I met him in real life, right? And I walked to Springburn Academy, which is this like high school in Scotland. So because that's where he knows he's kind of near that area sort of thing. So we met near there. It was weird seeing him, and I see him in a deep voice, is like, "Hello, James. How have you been? How have you been all these years?" And I was just doing that, right? And I never had any plan where I was gonna go here or we're gonna go there or go there. It kind of came naturally where we did go to Springburn Park. Don't know if I've talked about Springburn Park before, but so we went to Springburn Park, right? We walked around there and we found a pond and just sitting on these benches. And then after that, we went to the Springburn Shopping Centre, and I did notice there was kind of different things at the Springburn Shopping Centre. So we went there, right? But then we walked to Tesco as well, and then he got me couple, like I got this pack of donuts, and that was kind of nice of him. And I didn't actually have I don't actually have a bank account yet, so I couldn't really spend anything. He said, "Oh, maybe we could have like went in town and got drunk or something." So I definitely think that that whole experience was definitely good, and I walked a lot. Like I think I've even got a blister on my toe, but I'm not gonna show that on camera. Obviously, it'd be a bit too weird. So definitely was a decent experience with a little friend called Kyle McCormick. Hopefully, I'll get to hang out with him, and maybe we'll hang out with. Hopefully, we'll hang out with Ben and Lee. So there's all that kind of stuff, I suppose. But this thing that there was just this kind of other thing that I did kind of want to talk about, and it does kind of relate back to Declan. And this is the weirdest combination of topics, right? So I kind of have talked about Russian Hardbass on this podcast before. It's kind of a staple on the show. But there's that, Yami was talking about, oh, he's falling off and all of that stuff. Well, he made like this song called Bad Neighbours. And I'm just like, this is kind of a weird scenario because I've talked about my bad neighbour, the weird neighbour Declan, and then he makes a song about bad neighbours being really annoying, and there's a bit of auto tune in it. But I'm gonna play this song, right? I do believe I've got it on here, so I'll just quickly find it. So right, we'll just get it out here, right? All right. Come on, boy. Come on, Yummy. Give us it. All right, I'm going to rewind my Spotify. I'm using the web browser now, so.
Hey bro, it's 2 a.m. bro. Give me the Bluetooth password, bro. Let me connect to the cannon, bro.
Actually, I'll play it where he's talking about, like he's talking. It's like, hey, bro, it's 3 a.m., bro. Right, so we go. I think it was at this one. Wait, was it this part?
Get zero risk, fam, no cap on God. The morning I gang outside swarming like Genghis performing.
I think this was the part. I'm not sure.
Honestly, fam, like this Bluetooth cannon is not taking this bullshit, man. This is why we get zero bitches. This is why this beat gets zero risk, fam, no cap on God. Let me teach you good music, bitch. Turn it up a notch. Neighbors are really
Oh, this was it here. Hold on, hold on, hold on. I think this is the part I was talking about. Neighbors are really annoying, are really annoying, are really annoying, are really our neighbors are really annoying, are really. So he had that in the song, and it was just kind of funny because we obviously had a bad neighbour called Declan, and then he does that, right? And I did actually remember when me and Kyle were walking around and hanging out again, that he was talking about all these horrible people that he met in high school and stuff like that. And then I brought up Declan. I was like, go back to horrible people, right? And I was just saying, oh, Declan, well, he screams at 5 in the morning. He's like, oh, given what you just said, James, I think he's too far gone. Where I don't even think touching grass is even possible at this point. Might as well just touch earth. And honestly, man, it's like Declan has zero res and doesn't touch grass, and we were just touching grass and exercising. So you get all that kind of stuff. So I definitely subverted expectations with this week's episode, didn't I? Because I was like, okay, maybe we'll change up the topics. Last week we kind of put a different spin on things, and then this week we kind of went back to the same topics, while kind of spinning things around and not really saying, oh, this week we didn't like. I think this episode we didn't really mention every single topic. We kind of just launched right into it, kind of thing. So, other than that, really, hope you enjoyed this episode of the James Rambling Show. Right, you know, this just keeps getting fun and fun and fun every single week, whether it's on a skewed time zone or not. This is just super fun to go on a podcast for 20 minutes and talk a lot of shit about all this stuff, and it's super duper fun indeed. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode, right? I really have dragged it out, but here we go, man. It's just a lot of fun, isn't it? It's just the James Rambling Show where we never get to the point, like never getting to the point, isn't it? Is just super duper impossible every single week for the past 70 odd weeks or 80 odd weeks or whatever. So, bye. See you next week for another episode of the James Rambling Show.